On the Security Weekly News, I try to scan and produce a quick look at some of the major stories to help you keep up with what's going on in and around the industry in a short format. Myself, Aaron Leyland, Josh Marpet, and other guest commentators provide greater insight every week. I'm Doug White, and I hope that you'll look for the Security Weekly News in all of your favorite podcast catchers and subscribe for the latest content.
Welcome to RSA Conference 2024. We're here recording live from Broadcast Alley in Moscone West. This interview is sponsored by Intezer. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me today for this interview is Jim McDonough, VP of Global Sales at Intezer. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Adrian.
Yeah, absolutely. So second year in a row, everybody's talking about AI.
Yep.
You know, what can it do for tools? How can it improve things? How much of it is hype and how much can we actually do with it?
Of course.
And the SOC is one of those places. So depending on how you define the different tiers of a SOC, some of the lower tiers are often just shuffling things around, like deciding, okay, what needs to go to whom, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How much can AI actually solve within the SOC there?
Yep.
Let's just start with like what levels, what kind of use cases are we looking at where AI can help?
Yeah. Well, I think, as you mentioned, the tier one, I think is really a great place to start, right? That's where like the high volume, high workload is coming in and flooding teams. And so, AI can really come in to help significantly reduce that workload and make the entire process within the SOC a lot more efficient, and allow the teams that really are short-staffed to be able to focus on the things that matter the most.
Yeah. Are there any specific examples you can think of things that AI would do?
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
and we're talking large language model AI, that kind of technology here, I assume?
Well, it's part of it, right? So there's a number of different things that we have within our technology that really help with the core decision making of what an analyst would do, right? So mimicking the work, like techniques, decisions that an analyst would do when
based on what they've done in the past, or
based on what they've done in the past. So like an example, right? Take EDR as an example, and an alert fires from the EDR. Typically an analyst will get that alert, and they'll have to go through a number of different steps to determine, is this a real threat? Is it a false positive? And then from there, make a decision on what to do with that alert. Mm-hmm. And so, our technology can come in and actually make those decisions like an analyst would do, and then take action from there.
Right. And where do you see SOC struggling the most? What kind of tasks? Where's their time being wasted? Where maybe this technology can get away from the kind of rote, the stuff humans hate to do, the repetitive stuff. Yeah. Right. Like where are they suffering the most?
Well, I think it's there for sure. Right. Like, and I think that's because, look, it's 2024 and we continue to talk about the shortage of talent in security, right? Like I've been in cyber for a decade now, and we were talking about it back then. I'm sure we were talking about it before I was in cyber as well, right? Mm-hmm. So like despite companies doing as much as they possibly can with automation to try to solve this problem, it's still there, right? And so, and attack services, continue to grow. We're putting more and more technology for detection into these companies. So not enough people, more alerts coming at them. Like how do you handle all that? Stay secure, stay sane. Mm-hmm. So really, I think there is the best place to start, right? Like let's take that workload off of the SOC's plate, keep it in house, mm-hmm. and really, give everybody time back to focus on things that they really want to focus on.
Right. And Yeah, it seems like MSSPs, where, working with as many companies as possible, being efficient across those
Yeah,
companies, the margins there, are what really matter.
for sure.
It seems like this is a big help to you guys as well. It's a lot of these technology, the way you're using it, is it exposed to the customers where they're building playbooks and things like that with it?
Mhm.
Or is it more behind the scenes, something that you guys implement in your technology?
Yeah. Well, so I think for our technology, it's both, right? So like it's behind the scenes in that we integrate fully into the systems that they have and the workflows that they have in place, right? So like it's doing its thing behind the scenes, but then it gets integrated into workflows, into playbooks to take remediation action, and further up the chain to help solve those issues. Yeah, so like MSSPs, what we've seen with them is like there's a huge demand for their services, right? Because of the shortage of talent, and so their customer bases are growing significantly, and they're out there trying to find people to handle that,
Yeah.
right? So we found obviously the enterprise was huge for us, but we've also seen with MSSPs that in order for them to scale and scale efficiently, they're looking to adopt AI.
Right.
And they're early adopters. So yeah, it's been interesting to see, kind of this all.
So
come together.
MSSPs are customers of yours?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. MSSPs, enterprise, Fortune 500.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're seeing at the end of the day, right? If you're doing any type of incident response detection and response, whether it's your in-house SOC or an MSSP, you need the people to handle it, and that's a challenge.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your new SimTriage
Sure.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started off on this journey about at the end of 22, early 2023, when we launched our product, and it was focused on EDR. We felt like that was the right place to start. Right. So we integrated with CrowdStrike, Microsoft Defender for endpoint, SentinelOne, and really started solving that problem for our customers with EDR triage. But over time, we had a huge demand from our customers and from the market to broaden that scope, right? Broaden the sources that we could cover, obviously, because we were only doing that one source, right? So throughout 2023, we worked with our customers to integrate into to more of their systems and be able to triage all of their alerts and truly take off that tier one for them. So we launched that beginning of this year, and it's been a huge success for us so far.
I imagine you have to integrate with maybe the top 5 SIM solutions.
Yeah. So what we found is we do have direct integrations with some of the big players, but through like simple webhook integration, we can actually integrate with any alert source, ingest that into our technology, and do the same alert triage that we would do. Yeah.
Okay.
So
one of the trends that I've seen that's interesting is automated remediation.
Yep.
So we saw some of this a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it felt like people, we were talking about decision support.
Yeah.
That people weren't quite ready to fully automate some of that stuff,
Sure.
and let a playbook or AI or whatever it might be make some of those decisions without a human in the loop. Are you starting to see folks becoming more comfortable with that for certain use cases, like actually automatically disabling an account or isolating machine, taking some kind of action automatically?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously there's always some hesitation when it comes to that, but I've seen, especially over, let's call it the last year, more willingness to do that, right? And so with our technology, SOAR does a great job of that, right?
Yeah.
Being that to be in the middle, to take the remediation. So we feed that data that is necessary into the SOAR to take those remediation actions. And like the playbooks and use cases that we've seen have been increasing more and more as companies get more comfortable with allowing technology to do that.
Okay. And you mentioned SOAR. Do you integrate with other SOAR solutions, or do you have your own?
We're not trying to compete with SOAR at all. We feel like we're a perfect complement to SOAR, and so we integrate with any SOAR really. And our customers take our alert, triage, and investigation assessments and work that right into playbooks to be able to take action.
And do you guys augment any of that work? Do you have like an internal team that augments it? Like, can you do custom detection engineering for customers or anything like that? Or do you just provide the tools?
So we provide the tools. The only time that our people come into play for now is more on the incident response side. So
oh, really?
there is a
so you do have like a consulting arm?
There's an ability, not really, right? It's actually
part of the product.
Relatively small, highly skilled team that once something has happened and we've gone through all this, our technology has done the triage and investigation and has given you a verdict. If you want additional help with that, especially for like the smaller teams we work with,
right?
There's a button right in the tool that will say contact an expert, and we can actually it'll come in and help with that next layer if needed. So we do see our customers take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll look to do more with technology there as well.
So what's next for Intezer?
Yeah. Well, I think it's early for us. We've had significant growth over the last year from the product. So we just released this additional coverage with SIM, and so I think really the next year is focused on making our customers successful as possible with this, expanding our partnerships with other technology vendors like in the SIM space, EDR. And really just broadening what we can offer to our customers, and learning what is the need and where can our technology fit in, I think is kind of where we're focused right now as a company.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Security Weekly today, Jim. To find out more, visit securityweekly.com/Intezer RSAC. And stick around. We'll be back with more content here in just a little bit.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to RSA Conference 2024. We're here recording live from Broadcast Alley in Moscone West. This interview is sponsored by Lumu. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me today for this interview is Ricardo Villadiego.
That's right, sir.
Founder and CEO of Lumu. How are you doing, Ricardo?
I'm good, Adrian. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting show so far, and one of the themes that we hear a lot about is security operations, AI. Seems like everything related to security operations is changing. We're seeing different approaches to it, more automation. What are you seeing? What are you most excited about there?
I think, Adrian, that there are two observations that I see today, and I think they're good for the market, right? The first one is like there is a growing conviction that cybersecurity has to be operator, right? That the old path of deploying cyber defenses and trusting that those cyber defenses were gonna do the job, and you have to do nothing about that, is no longer real. So on one side, you see the market also realizing and the practitioners realizing that the core defenses that they have, their firewalls, their EDRs, the email security tools, are going to be bypassed by adversaries, and that the only alternative viable to solve the problem is to operate proficiently those tools.
Yeah.
And I think those are two things that are very helpful to the market.
Yeah. And what are some of the key ways that we're seeing people bypassing? You mentioned adversaries are bypassing EDR, other things. as new technologies come out, it's inevitable, right?
There's nothing different that the bad guys will do other than react to the defense capabilities that the market put in front of them. So when you look at the core defenses that companies deploy today, the firewalls, regardless of the brand, right? We saw last month Palo Alto, CVE, 2400, 3400
Yep.
being affecting customer, but it's the same with Fortinet. It's the same with Cisco. So
Yeah.
bad guys bypass the firewalls by exploiting vulnerabilities on those devices. You had the EDRs also, right? Regardless of the brand, CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Microsoft Defender. Bad guys can go and buy a kit to bypass those EDRs. Email security tools, right? Despite the fact that the investment in training users has grown a lot significantly, you send an email to a user that says, "Don't click here because you're gonna get infected," and they click twice,
Yeah.
right? So that's the reality, right? And
Yeah.
what happens when the bad guys bypass those elements, right? They land in the network. And if there's nothing in the network that is assessing that a threat actor has bypassed or is attempting to bypass those core defenses, then the end result is going to be catastrophic. I think that help us to conclude that the basic cybersecurity stack that companies have today has to evolve. It has to evolve in a way that it includes network detection and response capabilities in a way that's more predominantly to the stack that companies have today. Right. That's kind of what we see, Adrian.
Right. And another problem, when you do work an incident, we see a lot of companies, you really don't know if they're out of the network, or oftentimes as a vendor, when you come in, sometimes the first thing you detect is that there's already a compromise going on, right?
That mindset of the assumption of a breach is something that we have to build core to the cybersecurity strategies. I think, like I said before, no longer trusting that the tools that you have to defend the stack is going to do the job is relevant. You have to assume that the bad guys will circumvent the technologies that you have, and when you do so, the last resource that you have is to detect that threat actor with speed and contain that threat actor with precision. And I think that's what we do at Lumu, right? Lumu Defender helps to accelerate that threat detection and response capabilities through a concept that we created here in RSA in 2020 that we call continuous compromise assessment.
Okay. Yeah, because speed is very important.
It is. It's absolutely right. Like, it's astonishing to me that there are some vendors that in 2024 don't have automated response capabilities.
Yeah.
That's no longer an option, right? If
Yeah.
you look at the vulnerabilities, right? We go back to the Palo Alto vulnerability. That thing was announced at Thursday. By Friday, there were exploits taking advantage of the vulnerability.
It was a very simple exploit too.
It was a very simple exploit, and the patch wasn't
Almost
ready.
embarrassingly simple.
Well, even they recognized that it was poorly handled by Palo Alto, right? I think like the key on that is you have those vulnerabilities. It takes companies between 20 to 30 days to patch those vulnerabilities, and the exploit is available, day 2.
Yeah.
So do the math, right?
Can't do 30, 60, 90 day patching.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For compliance, that's fine. But if you want to evade, getting exploited, getting attacked, it doesn't work.
If you focus on compliance, in my view, right, you're gonna pass compliance checks, but I think compliance and cybersecurity are two different, unrelated topics. I think if you become secure, you are also compliant,
Right.
but the opposite is not true. You may be compliant,
Sure.
but unsecure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're talking about EDR getting bypassed, firewalls getting bypassed. Is there something fundamentally that we're missing here, in how we build security? Because, one of the things I've observed in a lot of organizations, you go and you look at the security team and somebody's assigned to a tool, right? Like you have the web application firewall person and the SIM person and the firewall person, and they come to work, they log into those devices, they interact with alerts, in some manner, and they log out and they go home. To me, that's not really doing security, right? That's being an operator. Like you're just managing products at that point.
And at some point, managing in a poorly disconnected siloed way, right? I think I think we're missing the mark in that the core element that helps to increase resilience to companies is operating the problem, being the problem, protecting the business, and those are tools that are doing its part, but they're better when they're working together, right? I think if you look at RSA last year, the theme of RSA was better together, right? And I think that helped it significantly to evolve integrations between vendors that at the end helps vendors or our companies to build the platform that they need with the tools that they need. However, a year after, we come to RSA, and there is this growing trend of platformization, in which vendors are trying to build their own platform. I think, there is a red sign here that it may affect the better together story, and that companies don't necessarily want to deploy all the defenses with one vendor, particularly if it is that vendor that have helped us get into this problem the first time. I don't want to have that same vendor controlling all the aspects of my cybersecurity, right? I want to implement my my multi-layer approach to cybersecurity, and I think to that point, Lumu helps significantly on being the glue that connects the different tools that you have for a better good. So platformization is good, but at the same time, we also shouldn't kid ourselves in the sense that platformization is really a story for vendors to increase their net retention, their penetration within accounts. I think the true end goal for companies is how they build the platform that they need with the specific characteristics that they need that may completely be different than the needs of another company. And that glue that helps to build that is Lumu connecting the different vendors that they have. And to do so, we have to continue to invest in the better together story, in vendors being open to accept integrations from the rest of the ecosystem. Platformization have diminished that purpose, and we already seeing vendors that are becoming more close. They used to be open, are becoming more close because they are favoring their platformization story.
Yeah, it's a really good point. With the it makes me realize I don't even know what the theme this year is, but better together is.
That was last year. This year is the art of the possible.
The art of the possible. Okay. Yeah, and it's a really good point. Like one of the biggest innovations that I'm excited about is like the use of AI to build integrations. Like and it's not just AI, but I've seen a lot of companies automating. Like I know of several companies that can build an integration in a day with another vendor. Like everybody has an API today. Almost everybody's API first, and I think it's a beautiful thing where you can hook products into each other day one.
Absolutely, and with that, we brought to the market this year Lumu Autopilot, right?
Yeah.
And it's the evolution of the journey that we have built, right? And you're right. Most vendors have APIs. Not all vendors have APIs. You will be surprised. There are large vendors that don't have APIs, that are just rebranding their legacy technologies to stay relevant with a marketing message. But some vendors don't have APIs. The vendors that have API, and I do believe that a vendor in 2024 that don't have API is a vendor that shouldn't be seriously considered by companies. But that's a different story. When the fact is that this API helps with automation, and when you combine automation with AI, you get this fascinating story that we brought to the market today, which is Lumu Autopilot, right? This growing conviction that companies have to operate cybersecurity. It's becoming pervasive in the market. So large companies have done that from years and years, but attackers are becoming more effective at increasing the volume of those attacks, and to increase the volume of those attacks, you have to go down market. If you're thinking from the adversary perspective, right? So they're now attacking small businesses, mid and medium enterprises, companies that don't necessarily have the ability to deploy 24/7 security operation strategies and people and so on and so forth. Lumu Autopilot helps to automate using AI distilled playbooks of defense, the detections and the incidents that we identify in those networks, in which we create a digital twin, a virtualized capability of your team that is working 24/7, that doesn't have to take bathroom breaks, that don't get drunk after the last game of football or soccer or whatever is the sport that you care, and it is adding value continuously, minimizing the need to hiring 24/7 talent, and making 24/7 security operation capabilities available for companies of all sizes and all verticals.
So is this train off of what your analysts do? Like how is that automation realized?
So we get the way the technology works is that for about 5 years we have collected extensive network metadata from the customers that we are monitoring, and we're all working on the same platform, on the Lumu platform, and we were able to see what the analysts were doing to mitigate the attacks that we were able to identify, and that learning helped us to distill those playbooks of defense. And AI is very fascinating in doing so by virtualizing those capabilities. Now those virtualized defense capabilities effectively create the digital twins that replicates what the human analyst will do. So when Lumu Autopilot identifies an attack, it will do what a human will do. It will review the context of the incident. It will review the endpoints, how the endpoints are behaving. It will review the history of contacts of that endpoint, and it will conclude if that is an occasional contact that is safe to close because it doesn't pose any risk for the company, or it's an incident that merits additional monitoring, right? And then it will continue to monitor that incident to see the evolution until it concludes if that is an incident that requires to be escalated to a human to take an action,
Right, it can do that.
Or no, right?
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ricardo. This was great.
Thank you, Adrian. Thanks for having me.
All right. To learn more about Lumu, you can visit securityweekly.com/Lumu RSAC, and stick around. We've got more interviews coming soon. Welcome to RSA Conference 2024. We're here recording live from Broadcast Alley in Moscone West. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me today is John Check, VP of Cyber Protection Solutions at Nightwing. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Adrian. Delighted to be here.
So the possibly the largest cybersecurity company you haven't heard of, right?
Highly likely.
Yeah, tell us. So Nightwing, great name, by the way.
Well, our teams love the name.
Yeah,
and they couldn't wait to get their hands on swag.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've done some marketing, branding work in the past. I could have a lot of fun with Nightwing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we're a standalone entity as of April 1st, so great day for a launch for a cyber company, right?
Yeah.
April Fool's Day, right? Might as well.
Yeah.
So we spun out from Raytheon. It's really the cybersecurity intelligence business that Raytheon provided to government, state and local, and commercial entities is what we provide. The services related activities.
All right. Yeah, that's it's interesting because it's it's not something we hear a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
The services provided. Is that considerably different than like the way you deliver the services, the way you sell to them? Is that significantly different than the private side?
It absolutely is. So part of what spun out is we have 2,200 employees strong, 1.3 billion in revenue. So
wow,
right, not tiny, but yeah, it's a very different way we're selling because also we're selling into a lot of intelligence and other missions that really keep our nation safe. So it's a way different the way we approach the marketplace, which is right. We obviously lead with our teams, right? Our people are what make us great. They are committed to the missions. They're committed to their they're growing their career and learning more and really defending our nation. So it really makes it really special for us.
Yeah. Definitely mission oriented.
100%. I'd say so. We're so mission oriented. Most cyber companies have a problem with attrition, right? We're in single digits, and there's
Really?
there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Yeah.
But certainly mission is a big
I'll
driver.
ask more about that later. That's very interesting. So cyber protection solutions. What is that? Help me understand what that is.
It's really all things defensive cyber. I mean,
Okay.
my team goes from the a pen test all the way to standing up nation state cyber capabilities and everything in the middle.
Okay.
So we really provide the whole spectrum of services, which makes it great, and across all different customer sets.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting, right? Every customer is unique, but they all have the same problems.
Right.
And it's really figuring out how to ensure that we're bringing the right things to bear to help them.
So it sounds like not only services, but also maybe building some custom tooling. Some research folks, some development folks.
Absolutely. We do a lot of integration work, right? One of the key challenges all of our customers have is, right, they bought one of everything and have a hard time integrating those tools, capabilities into something that actually provides them the cyber defense they're looking for. So we really help in the architecture, the integration, and really bring the people that are hard to find. That's one of the, our customers lose their key, you name the tool person, and they can't rehire that person. It makes it really hard, but we have a deep group of resources that can really help them.
Yeah. So this industry has evolved a lot over the years, and as we see RSA and the industry grow, we were just talking about the vastness of the expo area. Also so of the breaches. So of the the negative consequences that we've seen. What do you think is missing there? What is what are some of the key stuff that you find actually work with your customers and that maybe other folks are missing?
Well, I think the number one thing we try to help our customers is help them build capacity, because that's what they all need, right? They'll never be able to hire enough people.
Yeah.
They'll never be able to really look at all the events they want to and take action they'd like to. So really, we focus on trying to create capacity for them, and not capacity in the sense of more people, really capacity in the sense of automation, or you're taking like KonMari approach, right? Get rid of the clutter, get rid of those tools you're never going to use anyway, and just don't use, focus your environment on what's really important to you versus trying to do one of everything. And that helps you unlock capacity to really focus on the core of your business.
So more of a less is more.
That and ruthless automation. I mean, all the talks around AI, but that's just a portion of it, right? Really, one of the keys to unlocking capacity is you got to automate the routine.
Yeah, it's something we've definitely observed. A lot of the tooling out there creates busy work.
Yeah, absolutely.
For people who are operators of the tools, but that's not really doing security, right?
No. It's just filling their day with another box to look at or things to check or something to read, right? It doesn't really help them hone in on why they're there when that is defending the business.
Yeah. So back to the you're talking about your retention rate, and certainly just talking about my observations, I've mentored a lot of folks in the field. I've been in cybersecurity for over 20 years, and a lot of them say that there's positions for minimum 3 to 5 years. But they ask me, where's the 0 to 3? Where's the 0 to 5?
Right.
Where's the junior level? And I generally come back to telling them to, get a job on the IT side and move laterally over, because IT is who's actually doing security anyway.
That's right. That's where I started.
Yeah. Right. And that, I felt like an old man, telling people to do it the way I did. I also came through IT. I started thinking, okay, maybe there is an entry-level cybersecurity role. We, for some reason, pen testing is one of those, and then also SOC analyst. And but yeah, retention. How do we get people into the field? So a couple questions there. Let's start with retention, since you mentioned that earlier. Obviously, mission-focused company. Is that it, or is there more to it?
Oh no, there's absolutely more to it.
Okay.
Because the hard part about retention problem is it's multifaceted, like most hard problems are. So you got to have something that excites people. They want to come to work every day and feel like they're accomplished something or it's for a higher purpose.
Yeah.
So I think on a lot of our the work that we provide absolutely answers that. Also, you have to focus on the employee's well-being, right?
Yeah.
One of the key things that really is concerning is, cyber, when events happen, it's you're up 24, 36, however many hours and working super hard, highly stressful. You got the leadership of the company asking you every 20 minutes what you're working on. And if I wasn't right, the response is, well, if I'm not so busy giving you reports, I would be getting the job done, right? So you have the liaison. So really the well-being, ensuring people have the time to really refresh and reload and really retool and learn new skills outside of their day-to-day. So we really focus a lot on that aspect.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have to be competitive when it comes to benefits, but you really got to take an approach of, we're all in this cyber fight together. So, one of the approaches I take is, no matter if somebody wants a new opportunity on one of our programs, a new opportunity within Nightwing or an opportunity outside of Nightwing, I'm going to support them.
Yeah.
Because the only regrettable attrition for me is when somebody leaves cyber.
Right.
That is the only time it's regrettable.
Yeah, and it's always been baffling to me, the thought that, I don't want to send somebody to training because what if they leave? Surely you guys have opportunities.
I hear that all the time.
Advancement internally, but yeah, I mean a company that is interested in your well-being, your career, regardless of whether it continues to be at Nightwing or
absolutely
goes somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, I would want to stay at a company that does that.
It freaks people out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah?
Because most people, they don't want to have to go to their supervisor, manager, leader and say, I'd really like to move on to something else, because they think that they would be perceived as wanting to leave the program. Mm-hmm. It's way easier to go out, find a new job and say, here's my offer letter for my new company, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Versus having a difficult conversation. We try to break down that barrier of having those conversations that are really focused on a career in cyber. And I think that's what ultimately helps drive our retention. So it's kind of strange while you support people to move on, but they want to stay more.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it benefits both, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So coming back to the talent pipeline, this is something we keep hearing, that companies can't hire all the cyber workforce that they want. And then everyone I know trying to get into the industry or trying to get jobs, it sounds like the people that companies are looking for either don't exist or aren't there yet. They want a certain level of expertise, but they're not willing to build it or grow it. They're not willing to build up. So that's my observation at least. Like what are you seeing there, and how do you think obviously a company your size can afford to build a pipeline, I would think, a talent pipeline, but what should companies be doing if they want to be able to, if they want to be able to staff the way they want to, at what size do you get when it makes sense to build that talent pipeline and ensure your own, future?
Well, for us, based on our legacy, right, we really ran into this problem early stages of COVID, right, where it was really talent, right, was extremely high.
Yeah.
There's a high level of competition there. So we just took the approach that we're going to manufacture the talent we need.
Yeah.
And so we created our offensive labs, Nightwing offensive labs, to where we're taking the work that we do within our offensive side of the business and training our defenders on it so they can think like an attacker, and really taking through people up to 8 to 16 weeks, depending on where they are in their skill set, right? We tailor that training to those skills that they need. But we bring people in. So, for example, we had really good success bringing in people exiting the military.
Yeah.
Because they come out, well, obviously, with some of the clearances we need.
Right.
So that's a win there for us as well.
Yeah.
To really train them to provide the exact type of support we need on some of the missions we have. And they're not going to come. We know they're not going to come out from anywhere. We know that talent pool. We know that it's limited. You don't come out of a university, college, or higher education with those skills unless you are doing it out of your own interest.
Right.
But so we take a purposeful approach to invest in our talent, and we don't live in our fears, right? Okay, if they take the training and they leave, we can't be fearful of that.
Yeah.
Right? We just do everything we can to ensure they have the greatest opportunities with us when it comes to training and career. And obviously, we don't have limitless opportunities like any other company. We go out and fight hard for the work we get.
Yeah. Yeah, so taking veterans, do you also have like internships?
Absolutely.
Like
So we take our interns through our offensive labs in the summer.
Okay.
They love that because they've never seen anything like some of the stuff that we take them through. So that's part of it. We even do high schoolers, take them through that.
Oh, very nice.
So we're trying to hit it into all aspects of the career, and then you hit on it. Unfortunately, most of those entry level jobs are in the commercial business. That's one of the reasons we have it, is to provide those SOC analysts and others. But while they're doing that, we really work hard. It's a give and take between us and our team member to create that training curriculum for them to grow their skills. Because we don't want a SOC analyst to be in that role more than 2 years. We want them to move to that next step.
Yeah. So beyond Nightwing, what do you think people should be doing there? What do we need to do for the workforce as a whole? Like, do you think that's a model other people can copy and do as well, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to people know when you're genuine or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's really interesting. The conversations I had would lead me to believe most people are just concerned about their own program, business area, companies, retention.
Mm-hmm.
And when you focus on doing things like that, you're really not solving the problem. What do people care about? They care about learning new skills. They care about having benefits and compensation that's going to help, make their family and secure. Right. They care about having career advancement. So if you're not having discussions around all three of those things, that's what it comes down to, is just regular old communication. Picking up the phone or having an old-fashioned face-to-face meeting with somebody and say, hey, what do you really want to do?
Every now and then I hear about companies where employees feel comfortable talking about, well, I'm thinking of leaving the company, going to here, doing, and that's just alien to me. The places I've been, you have to sneak around, and
I have those conversations regularly.
Do job interviews on your lunch break, and yeah, it occurs to me, why, it's no secret that employees are going to leave. It's like, why have to do all that in the shadows? And managers aren't hearing the issues, the reasons that people are leaving. Those are conversations they should feel comfortable having.
Well,
right?
it's really funny. Recently, on LinkedIn, somebody hit me up and said, hey, I'm talking to this person. I heard they left. And I said, well, they haven't left yet, but I think they're a wonderful person. They'd be great on your team.
Yeah.
And he was freaked out, never responded to me, never came back. So, not only the employees, but the people that are out there, he couldn't believe that I possibly think. They probably thought, well, this person must not be good because John's trying to get rid of him, right? When I wasn't. I genuinely wasn't.
Yeah. That's
so it goes both ways.
Yeah. So it's hopefully we can get to a better place there, and we need it to build this industry, to build the workforce up. Hopefully people are inspired by what you're doing, and congrats with Nightwing.
Oh, we're super excited.
And thanks for joining me on Security Weekly.
Thanks, Adrian. Pleasure.
To learn more about Nightwing, you can visit securityweekly.com/Nightwing RSAC. And you can check out all our RSA coverage at securityweekly.com/RSAC. And we'll be back with another interview in a few moments.